Welcome. I would like to share with you today a chapter from my upcoming book, the name to be disclosed later. This is about a near-death experience that I went through where I entered into death and eternal life, and which changed my whole perspective on life and living. I would like to read it to you because this is a chapter from my book and I really don't want you to miss all the finer details. So if you're ready to take this soul journey, please put on a safety belt over your mind and open the windows of heart and spirit. Please get ready to fly into the depths of unconditional love, taking you on a journey into your own hidden self. And if you're ready, please follow me now. Okay. It was on July 30th, to be precise, 1994. Having driven about 400 miles from San Francisco to Los Angeles on a business trip, I was extremely tired after a couple of financial meetings, and on top of that, nagging me throughout the whole day was a strange sort of premonition, a feeling, an uneasy kind of feeling. So after finishing the meetings, I had attended a birthday function also of a client. It was almost 11:30 p.m. and extremely tired at that time, very sleepy. I didn't even bother to put on my seatbelt because in those days, in 1994, it wasn't mandatory, you see. After about 10 minutes on the road, I had entered San Dimas County, and a car with two young boys driving to my left suddenly swerved and came in the lane right in front of me and stopped. There was a stop sign in front, so they stopped right at the stop sign, but very close to my car. There was no way I could stop on time, and in my nervous and sleepy exhaustion, I slammed on the brakes, or so I thought. I had slammed on the accelerator instead. My 560 SL Mercedes-Benz convertible, designed to go within seconds from 0 to 60 miles per hour, did just that. Shot forward at full speed. Crash! In that moment of impact, I felt my whole body lift up, fly forward with great force and hit something. The next thing I knew, I was seeing this white stream of light traveling inside my body, and which seemed to be filled with a brilliant white hue. It was a brilliant electric white light. While looking at this moving light energy, I realized that I was also experiencing it. There was no sense of duality. This powerful white energy moving from my solar plexus to the top of my head was myself only. I was moving very fast, and yet moving very, very slowly. Somehow it seemed very natural for it to be slow and fast at the same time, in perfect unison. There was no sense of duality here. I seemed to know that this light energy was my prana, my life force, as it moved upwards through my body. It was almost being pulled up by some sort of magnetic force above my head. Just then, I experienced a sinking feeling, much like what one feels when you're going up a roller coaster and just beginning the plunge down. I felt myself go into a gentle convulsion with an upward movement, and the next moment, everything was gone. No light, no body, nothing. It was the strangest feeling and yet so familiar, as though I had experienced it many times before. I found myself almost floating all alone in the dark void, totally confused as to where I was and what was going on. All I could see was this total darkness everywhere, but I wasn't afraid at all. That's really interesting, Within moments though, from within this dark void, at a distance, I saw a pale golden vehicle-like thing, brilliant in its golden hue, almost shaped like a small boat, coming towards me. The inner hollow portion of this boat-like, vehicle was filled with a shimmering white, brilliant light, almost like a mattress, a bed of this white light. And it was the same shimmering light that I had just seen inside my body. As it moved closer, I could see on its bed of white light a very ethereal, human-like body lying very still on its back. It seemed to be draped in something like a pale golden gown, glowing gloriously in the dark night. A magnificent, really magnificent sight to behold. Amazing. And then, as it came closer, my entire being went into shock when I saw the face of this body and found it to be my own. Oh my God, I realized I was dead. I had died. I was dead. This was a dead body. Well, completely jolted by this truth, I looked down at myself and saw I had no body, and that I was just a spark of light, and that this ethereal, still, lifeless body lying on the golden boat vessel was my own dead body in subtle form, and I could actually see it. But before I could finish the thought or even realize, the immensity of the thought that I was dead, the golden boat tilted upwards with the feet of the motionless body up and head facing down. And all of a sudden, it just shot up, and I found myself flying in it faster than the speed of light, almost like a thunderbolt slicing through the dark night, disappearing into the void. I just went with this boat. The next moment, almost as if I had opened my eyes after a long, deep sleep, feeling so fully awake, I was aware of being consumed and surrounded by an all-pervasive brilliance. It was brilliant. There was no boat anywhere, no body, no structure, no dark void, nothing. Only this dazzling, electrifying, brilliant white light all around. It was everywhere. There was nothing except this brilliance. It had the consistency of the finest, minutest, electric-like sparkles. Energetically, it was similar to the bed of light in the boat vessel that I had kind of come on, except that this was all-pervasive, limitless. It was everywhere. It could perhaps be compared to the light of thousands of brilliant stars reflected in millions of sparkling diamonds, all-encompassing, self-luminous and pulsating with this electric light energy. Very delicate and smooth feeling, though, very smooth. It was just very smooth. And this light, which was so familiar, I realized was none other than the supreme, infinite light, that we know as God. I knew instantly it was the cosmic consciousness. And I also knew that the only way to know it was to experience it. And here I was, experiencing it. You know, it is truly impossible to describe in mere mortal words this pure love, this vital energy, this infinite light, this supreme absolute consciousness, this presence which is commonly referred to by most of humanity as God or the Creator. So please forgive my humble effort with limited vocabulary to try and share what I experienced. In that moment, literally standing on air as an electric body of light in the dazzling white void, this brilliant nothingness, I was filled with a secure, comforting sort of delightful joy, a deep knowing that I had reached my destination, the ultimate white effulgence. My being was flooded by this all-encompassing white effulgence, which was emanating a love so expansive and gentle, enfolding me in the soft embrace of divinity. It was amazing. Pulsating as an ethereal, electric life force, this presence of pure, unconditional love seemed to be in me, around me, extending into infinity. Strangely though, there seemed to be no difference between this light and my light being. And even more bewildering was that this conscious, loving presence seemed to be not just my nature and substance, but that it was most certainly the nature and substance of all of existence, of all of us. With a sense of déjà vu and awe, I knew I had made it, and I also knew to where I had made it. The familiarity of my surrounding space became clearer, and I whispered to myself, "This is the real me. I know this place. I know this place. I've been here before. I made it. I made it back." And then, wishing to take a final look and say goodbye to the world I had come from, I looked over my non-existent shoulder, just light, but I thought it was there. And expecting to see my world, of course, I experienced complete shock when I saw there was nothing there. Nothing. It didn't exist. My world did not exist. No world, no universe, no galaxy, no earth, no life, nothing. Nothing, sorry. I get a little emotional. Nothing existed except this soft, conscious presence, this pulsating brilliance, this pure love everywhere, all pure light. It's hard to imagine. You really have to experience it. Yes, I understood now. The world had all been only in my mind. A thought and senses created illusion, delusion. Without the senses, mind and body, there was now no ego self to perceive the world illusion. It had all existed and happened only in my mind. Our true reality exists outside of the mind, which is where I was at the present moment. I realized that the real goal of the mind-created life game of life was to remove this veil of delusion and ignorance and reach the ultimate truth in life itself, not when we die, but while we are living in life. this truth, this self I was bathing in, was nothing but love, 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 pure, unconditional, universal love. Love that is incomprehensible in human terms, and which is the intrinsic fabric of this consciousness I was a part of. It was very clear what the cosmic composition is made up of. Again, at the risk of repeating myself, it is love and only love. Love is the God glue that holds all together. I don't really exist as myself. I knew then that consciousness is all that exists, the only being that is. Experiencing this magnificent, omnipresent effulgence was oh so glorious. I cannot explain, it's just so awakening to my true self. I knew that that is my reality and the reality of all of creation. All are that one. I too was that one. You too are that one. I knew I was eternal, that all are eternal. I was never born and I never die. It is only the body form that is born and dies. There is no birth or death for Atma. I was and will always be existent as I am, as Atma, and that was all there was to know. That just like myself, all of creation, wherever and however it existed, whether human, animal, mammal, plant, nature, all were full in themselves. All were intrinsically perfect manifestations of the Supreme Being, God, a beautiful, glorious expression of that fullness. All are perfect. You are perfect just as you are. Creation is just divinity experiencing itself through its own creation, us. At this point, I was bathing in consciousness, as consciousness. I realized the truth of the magnificence, pure love and bliss which exists inside each and every one of us. That there is nothing to fear, especially death, for we are eternal and we never die. That the essence of the Supreme God Self and all its other selves, namely us, are comprised only of love, love, and love. Just the fabric of love. That's all we are. That God is love. Love is God. That creation is love. Love is creation. That we are love. Love we are. So let us be ourselves.